here we are, Week 7, MLS predictions. I can't believe that we're already in Week 7. I think I say this every week, but it is going by so quickly. I'm loving every second of it. Great week last week. Thanks everyone that showed up for the live stream last weekend. Hopefully you all show up this weekend. We hit 600 subscribers. We're still pushing towards that 1,000, and I just have to say thank you all. But enough of that. Let's get into it. DC United versus Columbus Crew. DC United is not looking that great to me right now. They're sitting 13th in the East, where Columbus Crew are sitting 4th. DC United have not won in their last 5 matches, and I think it continues. I think that Columbus Crew go on the road and beat DC United 2-1 there at Audi Field. So that takes us to FC Cincinnati versus Philadelphia Union. Philadelphia Union played midweek, so I think that's going to hurt them. They did win 1-0 in their midweek CONCACAF game. Philadelphia is just so hard to predict, and I think FC Cincinnati are doing a great job at home. FC Cincinnati have not kept a clean sheet in their last 4 matches, whereas Philadelphia Union haven't won an away game in their last 6 matches. I don't think Philadelphia get this done here. I actually think that Cincinnati win 2-1. So that takes us to Inter Miami against FC Dallas. Inter Miami lost their last match away against FC Cincinnati, where FC Dallas drew with Portland 1-1 at home. Inter Miami have lost their last 4 matches, which to me is kind of a surprise. I thought that they would have done better this season, and I think that they will get better. They have some injuries, I believe, but something needs to change for them to start winning ball games. But also, FC Dallas have not kept a clean sheet in their last 6 matches. So I think that both teams get a goal here, and I actually think that this match ends in a 1-1 draw there in Miami. So that takes us to the 2 teams that I thought for sure would be the 2 best in the West. That's LAFC versus Austin FC. Both teams drew last weekend. LAFC drew with the Rapids 0-0 away, where Austin tied with the Rapids in their last match 1-1. So Colorado is making moves against these tough opponents. Well, alleged tough opponents. They have not really shown that this year. Yes, I believe LAFC are 3rd, and LAFC are 3rd in the West, and Austin is 7th. So both playoff teams, but they're just not. The expectation that I've had for both of these teams this year has not met what I wanted to. So I think here at BMO Stadium, I think that this ends in a draw. I think that it ends in a 2-2 draw. Just both teams are good, but not good as of right now. I know that LAFC fans might disagree with me because they are 3rd in the West, but my expectations just higher for these 2 teams, and they're not hitting it. So 2-2 draw there in LA. Now we have the New England Revs versus CF Montreal. The Revs are definitely doing better than what I expected, but however, they did draw last weekend against NYCFC, and Montreal lost 5-0 against the Whitecaps, which, I'm surprised it was that bad. I can't believe it was that bad. But Revs are unbeaten in the last 4 home games, and CF Montreal have won the last 2 matches that they've played against the Revs, but they haven't kept a clean sheet in the last 6 games. So with this, though, I think that the Revs still do it at home. They're at Gillette Stadium. CF Montreal are not doing well at all this season, in my opinion, and I think that the Revs get it done 2-0 over Montreal at home. So that takes us to one of the matches that we did have in the voting, but isn't even close to winning for the live stream. We have NYCFC versus Atlanta United, 2 top teams in the East there. I guess not top, but they're in the playoff spots there. NYCFC drew last week with the Revs 1-1, where Atlanta beat the Red Bull at home 1-0. NYCFC are unbeaten in the last 6 matches against Atlanta, 4 wins, 2 draws. I think that streak ends here. I might be a little biased, but I think Atlanta will go on the road and win this match 1-0 over NYCFC. So staying in that New York New Jersey area, we have the Red Bulls versus San Jose Earthquake. The Red Bulls have won the last 4 matches against San Jose, and last week they lost against Atlanta United, where the Earthquake did win over the Houston Dynamo 2-1. This one was kind of a hard one for me to pick because Red Bull aren't doing all that great this year. They're not in the playoff picture yet, and San Jose are sitting at 5th in the West, which is very surprising. They're doing very good this year compared to the past. But I think that the Red Bull get it done at Red Bull Arena, and I think that they actually beat the Earthquake 3-1 there at home. That leads us into Chicago Fire versus Minnesota United. Chicago Fire are doing Chicago Fire things this year, still being crappy as always. I hate to see that. I really like their jersey this year. They have one of the best jerseys in my opinion, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't win. In my opinion, they haven't won in their last 4. They're unbeaten in their last 4 home games. But I think that comes to an end. I think that Minnesota are a strong team. Minnesota, in our live stream watch along, they beat St. Louis. It was an iffy call for a penalty. I think that the game should have probably ended in 0-0 or 1-1. That penalty was not a penalty to me, but I'm not the ref, so. And then Chicago drew with DC United 0-0, the toilet bowl there. But I think that Minnesota go on the road here. There's not much really to say. I think Minnesota go on the road here and win 2-0 over the Chicago Fire. So next up we have Houston Dynamo versus LA Galaxy. Last week the Houston Dynamo lost to San Jose 2-1, and then LA Galaxy lost to Seattle 2-1. At home though, where Houston was on the road. LA Galaxy have been a disappointment. I still can't believe that Chicharito really plays that big of a role in that team. Maybe they need to bring in a couple other players to turn it around. And then they haven't won in a while. Draws and losses. But even though Houston Dynamo is looking okay this season, I think LA Galaxy go on the road and we're going to start seeing a trend of LA Galaxy winning a couple games. And I think that they're going to win this game on the road 1-0 over the Houston Dynamo. So now we have Nashville SC versus Toronto FC. Nashville last week won 2-0 on the road against Orlando City, where Toronto drew with Charlotte 2-2 at home. Nashville is struggling, very inconsistent this season, but they do lead the league in the most clean sheets. I know that. I don't think they get a clean sheet here, and I actually think that this match ends in a draw. I think Toronto comes in, shows up a good bit, and I think this game ends in a 2-2 draw there at Geodis Park. Next up, we have the 2 bottom teams in the West. We have Sporting Kansas City versus Colorado Rapid. Last week, both teams drew with their opponent 0-0. I don't know if we're going to see a goal in this match. I think we will, though. But I think that Sporting Kansas City will win this match because they're at home over the Rapids. I'm disappointed in the Rapids, and also Sporting, but at the same time, both have a lot of injuries. I think this year a lot of teams are struggling with injuries. So hopefully things will get better for both of these teams. I don't want to see either one of these teams be at the bottom of the table, but I think Sporting Kansas City do get it done at home here, 1-0 over Colorado. So next up we have Real Salt Lake against Charlotte FC. Last week, Real Salt Lake lost again 4-0. What is going on with them? I really thought that we would see them upset St. Louis. I can't believe that now. I can't believe that I really thought that they were going to do that. And then Charlotte last week drew with Toronto 2-2 away. Real Salt Lake haven't scored in their last 2 matches. Of course, 4-0, 4-0. And they haven't kept a clean sheet in their last 11 matches. That is spanning back to last season, but that's not a good record. That's not good. Like, you got to get a clean sheet in there a couple times. But the same thing with Charlotte. They haven't gotten a clean sheet in the last 8 matches. Don't think that either team get a clean sheet here. I actually think that this match ends in a 1-1 draw. I just think Charlotte's not that great either. And I thought that they were going to be better. I think they're sitting 14th in the East right now. They got to do better. I mean, their attendance was great for the fans. They got to pick it up for the fans because they're one of the better attendance teams. at home. I know this game isn't at home, but they got to pick it up. But they won't here. I think it ends in a draw, 1-1, Real Salt Lake versus Charlotte. So that takes us to the match that we are going to be live streaming, most likely. The vote is being blown away. I think it's 52% of you all have voted for this match. It is Seattle Sounders versus St. Louis. 1 against 2 in the West, 1 versus 3 in the Supporters Shield, and it's going to be a good one. Last week, Seattle won 2-1 over LA Galaxy, where St. Louis lost 1-0 over Minnesota. St. Louis fans, you gave me a hard time saying that I needed to jump on the train. Last week I jumped on the train. They should have beat Minnesota United at home, and here they lose. I should have went with y'all. I'm not calling y'all out, but you came at me. Were mad that I was going against them. Were saying that they would draw and all of that. And then they lose. And I think that they should have won against Minnesota. They were the better team in the first half until the end. About 5 to 10 minutes of that first half, Minnesota turned it around, and then Minnesota just took control in the second half. So I don't know what happened there, but this is going to be a good matchup. They're at Lumen Field. St. Louis, you guys aren't going to get it done on the road, and you're not even going to get a draw. I think Seattle beat you guys 3-1 at home at Lumen Field. Seattle is a good team. They're very hot right now. Last game, Sporting Kansas City, they won 4-1. Last week, they won 2-1. They're a good team. So is St. Louis. St. Louis is very good, very hot. Maybe last week was just an anomaly, and maybe they'll turn it around, but I don't think they're going to get it done here in Seattle. 3-1 Seattle at home. For our final match of the week, we have Vancouver Whitecaps versus Portland Timber. Vancouver walked in at home and blew Montreal away last week 5-0, where Portland drew with FC Dallas away 1-1. Portland is still missing a lot of players with injury, and I think this is going to be a pretty easy one to pick for me, and I have to go with Vancouver Whitecaps winning this match 2-0 over Portland. I want to say Portland will have a better game, but at the same time, I think Vancouver are going to be on this high from winning last week, and I think that momentum is going to carry. So I'm going to go with the Whitecaps 2-0 over Portland. So that is it for our predictions. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like the content. And I can't wait for Saturday. It is going to be a late one for us East Coasters, but it's going to be exciting. A good Seattle team, a good St. Louis team. We'll see you then.